Rob from Fountain Pen Journey with a review of the Laban Skeleton Rainbow fountain pen. Now, Laban, I did a review of one of their pens last year, mistakenly said that they were Italian. They are, in fact, as people very rightly and clearly pointed out, a Taiwanese manufacturer. And this is a lovely looking pen. It's quite unusual. It is available in different colours. There's gunmetal, gold, things like that. Gold is exclusive to cult pens in the UK, I believe. But I always really quite fancied the Rainbow Skeleton, which is this. It's essentially it's a PVD coating, so physical vapour deposition onto metal. It's quite an interesting process if you ever look into it. And these PVD Rainbow fountain pens were incredibly popular in 2021, 2022. And no doubt we will see more of this PVD Rainbow coating on all sorts of fountain pens in the future, because people do seem to like it. One of the most popular pens, and it is a pen which just does not appeal to me, is the TWSBI VAC 700R Iris, which is this PVD coating. But quite honestly, there really isn't the same level of metal or coating on the Iris. It's basically the cap band, the nib, and a couple of bits here and there. Whereas this skeleton, which is a real proper mesh of, I suppose, overlaid onto the, I guess it's polycarbonate plastic beneath, and it's a really quite interesting looking fountain pen. I would say for the price, it is a little bit more expensive than other fountain pens, and I will talk about that later on in the video. But I think for what you're actually getting, it's not bad at all. Pretty good value if you like this sort of design. Now, it is very much a cigar-shaped fountain pen. There really isn't a lot to say. It's a decent enough weight because of all the spaces in between the metal. It's got a nice weight, but it really isn't a heavy pen. It does feel quite top heavy with the cap on. But once you, I'll just point out that nice PVD rainbow coated metal section there, it's not a massively heavy pen. The section adds an awful lot more weight, and you can feel that pushing sort of downwards onto your finger there. But it's not a hugely heavy pen. It does cap, but not very well, and it becomes quite strangely balanced. It's not unbalanced, it just adds a weird weight to the overall pen. If you like a heavier pen, then yes, it's going to be fine. If you like a lighter pen, that's going to be okay. I'm not one to do weights and everything else unless it's really something quite specific that I want to talk about. But it's got enough weight to it. If you want a light pen, it's not for you. If you want a heavy pen, this is bordering on the lighter side of heavy. But I like it. It's a good looking pen. Nice rainbow, even PVD coating throughout. I mean, it's not like the scrimped. I mean, sometimes I've seen Chinese PVD coated items and it looks like they sort of did half a job and then they didn't run the right voltage or whatever it is through the system, and it sort of didn't really do a good job. Whereas this is actually good, and every pen is going to be slightly different. And it's nice. It's highly polished metal rainbow, so you've got the purples, the golds, the sort of teal blues. Yeah, really attractive. And this skeleton mesh is nice. It's nice to see the clear, what I'm assuming is polycarbonate plastic, and you can see the included converter in there. So that gives you a hint on this is one of the gripes I have about this fountain pen. It would have been so nice if this would have been a piston filler. Perfect piston turning knob size. You would have had a piston in there which would have looked perhaps a little bit better than this Laban converter that's in there. And it would have held the ink, which would have sloshed around inside, and it would have looked pretty good, but unfortunately it's a cartridge converter fountain pen, and that is a little bit of a miss in my opinion. Unscrew the cap. I shall do my usual 1.5, 2, just over 2 turns to uncap, which isn't too bad. It's plastic threads throughout, so it's not metal threads, and I must admit I'm not a fan of metal threads unless they're really well machined. They can be quite creaky, squeaky and unpleasant if not done well, but these plastic threads are good. Nothing really too fancy in there, not a lot to say. There's a screw down at the far end, so not particularly well sealed and not what I would expect at this price. We have a hourglass shaped PVD metal section which is excuse me, polished. So that might not be for everybody, and it's not the biggest section. It's actually quite small, so I can feel just about these threads here. It's not uncomfortable, the threads are not sharp, and there is a step up there to the barrel, but it's not uncomfortable. Steel nib, black plastic feed, nothing fancy. Unscrew the barrel, metal threads, Laban converter, yeah, and you can't eyedrop at this, by the way, so that is another thing that people would perhaps like to do. But the nib is available in a range of sizes. Now my previous Laban fountain pen review was not too, it was, I think the nib was a bit of an unfortunate one. It needed an awful lot of tuning. So I'm going to do this on this rodeo pad as usual with my standard paper. And I will say that I actually have been impressed with this Laban Skeleton Rainbow fountain pen. So let's do that now and see how this pen writes. Laban Skeleton, not the best word. I know it's descriptive, but certain words, spider, not a good one for marketing. Skeleton, not a good one for marketing. Laban Skeleton Rainbow with a broad steel nib. Now I would consider this, I'll do the writing sample, then I'll talk about the actual nib in a minute. And it writes perfectly well. It's decently smooth, lays down ink, no issues with flow. Not particularly wet for a broad, however this ink, which I'll talk about in a minute, is a little on the dry side, so I'd say there is a bit of a stubbiness to this nib. Bearing in mind it's a broad, I wouldn't have called those, either the vertical or the horizontal lines, broad. I would really err towards the medium side. But you see, the vertical lines are a lot narrower than the horizontal lines, so there is a stubbiness there. As for line variation, yes, you can definitely squeeze some more ink from those from the nib if you just press down, but it's stiff. It's not a flex nib, but you can do it. The ink, before I forget, is Diamond Grape. verse writing is possible. Not particularly. It's not well aligned. It will do. It's okay. It's scratchy. Not ideal, but it does go down to extra fine, I'd say. So the nib, yeah, I would say definitely on the fine side. Perfectly smooth, straight out of the box. I have not touched this nib, not needed to do any work on it, so I'm very happy with it. Diamond Grape is a drier ink. I have used that in Jinhao medium nibs years ago and found it incredibly dry. Sometimes it even just hard starts. It's almost like it's got some sort of sediment in there. It's one of those sorts of inks, and I'm sure that with a really wet ink I would see this broad characteristic come out more. However, this this broad nib isn't as broad as Diamond Grape in a medium Jinhao nib, much broader. So it's I would say that possibly this is definitely down to the broadness of the nib, which interestingly does have this stub characteristic. So it is quite a fine stub, if that, but there we go. So not the most perfect nib size, or if you like, nib. it's not ideal. So it's an interesting writing experience. I have absolutely no issues with this, and I've left this capped and unwritten with for several weeks on end, many weeks in fact, and no hard starts whatsoever. Writes perfectly first time every time. So I'm really pleased with the overall pen. The cost, now I have seen this on offer, certainly at Cult Pens, and you can get discounts occasionally, and this is where I took advantage of that. I may even have used one of my mention me links, which I put down in the description, which gets both of us 10% off to purchase this pen, which, to be honest, I think even then we're talking in the region of 100 quid-ish, perhaps a bit more for this pen, and it's not worth it. You can buy a Platinum 3776 for just a bit more money, and you're going to get a much nicer writing experience. Similar sized pen. However, if you really are taken with this skeleton design, it's definitely a pen which you may like, and this PVD rainbow coating is actually really attractive. So it's a bit of a niche pen. It's not going to be for everyone with the designer, it's not going to be for everyone in this colour scheme, but some people are going to enjoy both of those, and it's pretty unique from that point of view. I do like it. It is a nice looking pen. The clip is incredibly stiff, but functional, but it's stiff. Can I recommend it? It's a 50-50 for me. For the price, it's a hard one. You would have to love it, and I do see a lot of people spending less money on the TWSBI 700 Iris, which doesn't have as much of this, if you like, iridescent purple, blue, gold bling on it as this pen does. And for those people, you might want a bit more of that, and this could be the pen for you. For me, I quite like it. I was a bit apprehensive about the rainbow colour because I actually quite like some of the other colours of this, and having used this pen for some time now, it's grown on me a lot, and I do find it quite comfortable for long writing sessions, and it works first time every time, and the nib is smooth, and I've got no issues with it. But it doesn't excite you. It's one of those pens that, yes, you look at it as attractive, but it's never going to excite you from a writing perspective. So it's a difficult one. It's a difficult one to say I don't recommend it. It's a difficult one to say you should go out and buy one. It's very much what you think of the actual aesthetics of this fountain pen. Let me know what your comments are about all of it down below, because I'm sure that some people are going to say, yep, love it. Some people are going to say, damn, it's ugly. For me, I have got some reviews of the Jinhao Skeleton fountain pens coming up. Almost a different, completely different beast. This is good. This is how a PVD metal skeleton fountain pen should be. Jinhao, wait for my reviews. I like it. I'm happy with it. Am I happy with the price I've paid? No, not really. And I do like cheaper fountain pens. This was a bit of an outlay for me, and it's not really lived up to my higher expectations that I actually had. So thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you next time. Bye.